What's up, guys, and welcome to the first episode of the Connecting Creators podcast. Truman, how does it feel?
Feels pretty good. It's been a long time coming, honestly. We've been wanting to do a podcast for a while now.
Yeah.
But never been the right kind of timing. I know for me personally, it always felt a little weird getting on a podcast because it felt like I didn't have anything to share. But now I feel like after a year and a half of running Templemill, we now have things to talk about. And just our past stories. It's going to be a good time talking about all that stuff.
We've been, making videos for other people, and we've recorded so many different podcasts and but never for ourselves or our audiences. So I'm excited to dive into this. So there's a lot of you that are probably asking yourselves, what's Connecting Creators? What's Templemill? What is going on with all of this? So pretty much, I'm gonna try and keep it as brief as possible because we got some questions that we're gonna dive into. I asked you guys on Instagram to ask some questions, so we're gonna dive into those questions, and then we'll try and keep this one pretty short. But as we get more podcasts going, we'll have more stories to share. So Connecting Creators, we started. Should I rewind all the way back to when we first started the YouTube channel?
No.
So Connecting Creators, we started as a community to be able to take some of our connections and people that we've met and got to know and connect creatives with each other, or ideally the way it would work is, so we have a Facebook group as well where people can ask questions, talk to each other, help each other out. And so ideally with Connecting Creators, someone can go in the group and say, hey, I'm looking for a graphic designer in San Francisco. Anyone in here that can help me out? Boom, someone in the group, that's perfect. Or, hey, I'm looking for a photographer in New York. Boom, there's someone in the group for that. So,
and the benefit of that is just that when there's a tight-knit community of creatives, you're able to trust people more and build a real connection with them.
Yeah.
Because we're not inventing anything new here. You can always hit up someone to help you with the shoot, but you're reaching out via Craigslist or Facebook marketplace or something. You never really know who you're getting, but if they're part of the community, you can kind of trust them a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
yeah, totally. So Templemill is Templemill is our video production company that we do, social media video work for, more specifically events and coaches. So for those of you that don't know what goes on behind the scenes, most of the time coaches will, create a Facebook ad, run that Facebook ad to drive traffic to their landing page. On their landing page, they've got a video where they're, it varies, but most coaches have this similar sales funnel of,
it's
videos.
pretty much simply there's traffic online, right? And the way a coach over here gets some of that traffic is they make content on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. People from the traffic watch those videos and then they say, oh, I want to know more, and they'll swipe up, go to a landing page, put in their email. From there, the email sends a drip campaign of multiple emails, gets them into some kind of product or service, or upsells them on some kind of course.
Yeah.
And so the end goal for all these coaches is to sell some kind of coach or a program usually. And so
most of the time they just record this with my swig.
Shout out swig.
Okay. Most of the time they, we're just gonna pretend like that didn't happen. Most of the time they just record this with their phone or the webcam of their computer, and the videos just don't look very good. And I'm sure you guys all see the ads on your Instagram, your Facebook, where some freaking douchebag is just holding his phone up, standing in front of someone else's house that he's renting, someone else's car that he's renting, is on some vacation, family vacation, and is leveraging it to make it look like he travels the world. whatever. That's always how it is, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
People get sick of it. We see through it, you know? So, you know, for coaches, we redo their whole sales funnel, reshoot their videos so that, like, one, they can share an original message and be different, and two, that it's like higher quality, which makes them look better, because like the videos, if you're an event, a personal brand or a business, the videos that you put out reflect your business. You know, like that's how people look at you online, is like the content you're putting out. So if you're using some cheap, you know, Johnny from the ward who's going to school studying film and will do a video for free, like it's gonna look like that, and that will have like the long-term effects is like negative. Right. So
yeah, it's like you're trading the short-term cost for, it's like a trade-off. Like you're saving money in the short term, but you're affecting the image of your company in the long term. Because like I like to think of it as like when I was younger, my parents and, you know, adults would say like, watch what you put online, that's going to be there forever. Why do we believe that in our personal lives but not in our business lives as well? Like why am I going to put out a crappy video about my company and have that be okay with that, and forget that it's going to be there forever? Some people are going to be landing on that video for the first time ever, and they're not going to know anything about your company. They're going to get all the information from that video, and then they're going to make their decision on whether or not they're going to buy from you because of that video. And that video was made for $100 by a 16-year-old kid. So is that an accurate representation of your company?
And I mean, you only get one first impression. And when you're marketing a video, targeting new eyes that don't know anything about your business, that video is their first impression of you. Like, do you want it to be... Anyway, we're not trying to sell you guys. So Templemill is where we handle like our projects and like our client work. And like, that's been like our full-time, nothing else, 100% of like our work, our income, what pays the rent, what pays our bills, is like Templemill for the last like year and a half. And so, you know, we tried to...
We've learned a lot of things over the past year and a half of having Templemill be our sole income. Like, it's been our only thing. And so that's where Templemill ties into connecting creators, is that we're bringing everything that we've learned over the past year and a half, and everything that we're going to continue to learn going forward, we're going to be able to bring to you guys with connecting creators. And we believe that the starving artist mentality is dead, and there's no excuses now. Like, everyone can make a good living doing what they love creatively. Like, in the past, it was true because you needed to rely on some kind of organization or the higher power, so to speak, to put you on. But with the internet, you can put yourself on by constantly putting out content and getting in front of people and connecting with other people. Like, it's so much about who you know these days. Like, you and I both know photographers that it may not be the best, but they're out killing it with different people, and because of the network. And that's something that we also want to share with you guys as well. And that's why we're connecting so many people, is because it's a lot of it is about the connections and the business side of things too. Like, you can be we both know, like, on the contrary, we both know photographers that are like A1, like amazing, but they're not getting any love on Instagram because they're not posting what is popular these days, like what's trending. And
people nowadays, like, they confuse having a lot of followers with directly affecting the quality of the work. There's so many people out here that are world class, phenomenal, and have no followers, and there's so many idiots out here that have millions of followers and are completely garbage. Totally garbage. So let's dive into some of these questions.
So that's what connecting creators is all about. And I say we dive into the question about the future.
Okay.
That's a good segue.
Okay, so we got at Mr.Monjay asked, what kind of goals do you have for connecting creators in the future? So pretty much, like, we want to dive into hosting events, local events, like having people be able to come together, podcasts. You know, this podcast, like what we want to do to make it different is have it a little bit more on the go, less traditional. We're going to be like meeting up with, we've already been talking to and scheduling people to be on our podcast for the end of this month when we go out to LA. So we're super excited to bring like some of those awesome guests to you guys. But we're really going to focus on like the video content. So like you'll be able to listen to this podcast, find it on Spotify, Apple, whatever. However, you'll also be able to watch it on YouTube, and if you don't have time to watch the whole podcast, we'll upload highlights and stuff as well. So, you know, events to connect people in person, podcasts to, you know, have guests. You guys have some of you on the podcast to show your talents to the rest of the community. We want to like partner up with people, like make designs, shirts, whatever. But this is like, connecting creators is all about connecting creators. Right. Like we want to be able to like us meet you guys, be able to connect with awesome people, connect you guys with awesome people, get brands involved.
Connect with resources as well, like any kind of like presets we can offer as well, or like any kind of tutorials. Like that's gonna go into a lot of like the YouTube channel too, but like eventually having courses that are like 100% everything that you need to know on how to go from charging like $10 a photo shoot to thousands, because we've been in those situations. 100%. So it's really about helping. The way that I see it, it's like helping the old me, like where I was 2 years ago or so, like 3 years ago, like having creativity but not knowing how to turn that into actual money in your bank account, or like helping you actually do what you want to do for a career.
Totally. All right, so hopefully that answers the question. Let's dive into another one. Okay, let's see. We got some good questions in here. You guys asked some good questions. So I think this is a good segue question from like what you just said about like, you know, you're trying to teach your older self. So at Link Dog, shout out Link, said, what's one thing you wish you knew about your current self 5 years ago? Great question. I'd be 16.
14? Yeah, you go first.
One thing I wish, okay, I wish, man, that's a tough question. So 5 years ago, in my head, I was like planning on going to medical school, being an orthopedic surgeon, like that was like my route, and that is not where I was gonna be happy. And it wasn't until I like, you know, started to like take photography more seriously, charging for shoots, that I started to see like, wow, like I would way rather spend the rest of my life taking photos and making videos and make no money than, you know, doing some BS job that pays really well, but I'm not happy doing. And so like, you know, people always ask us like, what would you, if you had like $1 million or $1 billion, like what would you be doing right now? This. If I had $1 billion in my bank account, I would still be recording a Connecting Creators podcast. Like this is exactly what I want to be doing. And so if I'm talking to myself 5 years ago, I would say like, be yourself. Don't be afraid to like stay true to yourself and like let others like be vulnerable, follow your passions, and like as long as you are like trying your very best and like working your hardest, then everything will work out, you know, like, so hopefully that answers the question.
For me, so when I was 20, I was still in college trying to figure out my path. And, but deep down I knew that wasn't my path, but it was just everyone else's path, and I felt that I needed to be on that same path.
Yeah.
But so I would say to just do, like, really simply, the one-liner would be just do what you want to do and don't care what anyone else thinks, because that's like ultimately what happened, but it took me a long time to do it, and I could have jumped into this way faster. But and just like have more self-confidence. Like there's things that like I do now, or like things that I say now that like I had the thoughts of saying it 5 years ago but never said it.
Yeah.
And like I could have had more confidence and like said those things back then, and like had more confidence in myself and took those risks and like took those actions, and you know, so yeah, it's an interesting question.
Yeah. Great question. Let's dive into another one. All right. So we got our boy Kwani 1989. Shout out Quan. He says, "Got any drone cameras?"
Tell him about the story.
Boy, do I got any drone cameras. So, to everyone listening, Kwon is our friend that we met when we were out in South Korea. A few months ago, we were staying with Truman's cousin, Ted, who's an English teacher out there.
Teacher Ted.
Teacher Ted.
Shout out Teacher Ted.
Shout out Teacher Ted. And then my cousin Ken's came out with us, who's fluent in Korean, Japanese. He was our, tour guide, translator, whatever, our total host. And so Ken's used to live in the same town where Truman's cousin lives, called Ilsan, which is about 45 minutes out of Seoul, which is like the capital of South Korea. So, back to the question, got any drone cameras? I am obsessed with drones. I love drones. Like, I think like drone video and photography is like one of my favorite. However, a while ago, so I had the Mavic. My first drone was the Phantom 3, had that for a while, but I actually sold that drone to buy my initial plane ticket to move to New York. Was funded by a drone. Shout out to the Phantom 3. So then after like working out in New York, Truman, you had your drone. Yeah. We used Phantom 4 a bunch. Truman's drone got stolen. Shout out Shaq. So I eventually bought the Mavic Air, or the Mavic Pro. I used the Mavic Pro like a ton, I loved it, and then randomly the gimbal started like freaking out. Every time I would turn it on, it would just kind of like whip up. Yeah. And so it's still in that phase, and I haven't been able to use that drone in a while, which sucks. But a few months ago, we were in Dallas, and one of our friends who like used to work with Gerard when we were in New York, his name is Raphael. Shout out Raphael. He had randomly hit me up, like, he texted me, he's like, yo, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was like, what are you up to, where have you been, whatever. Yeah. And so when he texted us that, we were in the car driving to Los Angeles, where we were filming a project with Ulysses for like 2 days, and then we were flying from LA to Dallas, spending a few days in Dallas, back to LA, a while in LA, back to Utah. So I'm like, yo, Raphael, we haven't talked in forever. Raphael's like amazing videographer. He has like a really lighthearted personality. He's really easy to get along with. Like, Raphael's super dope. So I'm like, yo, we're like on our way to LA, and then we're flying to Dallas. And he's like, dude, that like, you don't know, I didn't even know that he was in Dallas, because Raphael's from New Jersey. And that's how he was connected with Gerard, through someone out there. And he's like, dude, I've been bumming it out in Dallas, trying to save money to hire a drone pilot. Like, how much would it cost to like fly you out to Dallas and have you do this? And I was like, dude, you're not gonna believe this, but I'm actually gonna be in Dallas next week. And I would like love to get together and help you out with this. Like, I'm not gonna charge you for it or whatever. But I was like, I don't have a drone right now that I can use. He's like, dude, that's okay. I'm gonna like, I'll get it all figured out, and we'll go from there. So I was pumped about that. So we flew to Dallas, and while we were in Dallas, we only had a couple days, really packed schedule, and so Raphael's plan was to climb this tower on like University of Dallas's campus. It's really high. And he wanted me to fly the drone to film him climbing the tower with no ropes. Amazing footage. I still need to edit the video together and post it for you guys to see. We'll get there. But, so he bought the DJI Spark for this video. We take an Uber, meet up with Raphael at like 4 in the morning, call air traffic control, let them know that we're gonna be flying the drone, do all the stuff that we need to do. However, I mean, there aren't any permits you can get to scale a building, you know, like, so we had to be really discreet, do it really early in the morning so that he wouldn't get caught. So Raphael wore the GoPro.
I feel like you're getting a little sidetracked, but keep going with the story.
Okay, the question was, do I have any drone cameras?
Yeah.
Not my entire history with drones. So I did the video for Raphael of him climbing the tower, and after we did the video, he gave me the drone.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, because I'm like, I'm not gonna take any money from you, but he's like, dude, I'm not gonna let you do this for free. Take this drone.
Yeah.
So,
tying back in with Korea, we took that drone to Korea, the DJI Spark.
it's really small, really versatile, and each of us only brought one backpack. So we fit, you know, the Ronin S, my camera, multiple lenses, laptop, clothes, you know, everything that we would need to travel internationally, including camera gear, in one bag. And we were climbing this mountain called Bukhansan, which it means like Mount North Korea, but it's in South Korea. But it was honestly, it was for sure like, I would say the most beautiful climb I've ever done before. We were expecting it to be like a hike. It was like 1 to 2 kilometers.
Because we're used to like Utah. I mean, like there's
Yeah.
you know, we thought it was gonna be easy.
We're like, we got this.
Yeah.
And so, but we get there and the majority of it is like climbing up rocks.
Yeah,
like there's like rods with
metal,
wires.
metal rods with wires that you have to like use to get up.
So we would be like walking up the wall, pulling ourselves with these without any climbing gear or any ropes.
Yeah.
So we got to like, I don't know, 2/3 of the way to the top. And like, when you look out, you're just looking out at like the outskirts of Seoul. You're seeing like so much of Korea.
So much mountains and then like cities intertwined in it.
And like when you're in Korea, you don't realize that you're actually
In the mountains.
in the mountains. Like it feels like you're in the city, but you're in a city in the mountains.
Yeah.
And so when we climb this mountain, you really see
Yeah. So we really wanted to get that on drone footage. So we lifted it up and like it was going well for a few minutes.
I don't know, not even. I mean,
Seconds.
I was able to like get some like really cool shots. And then like before I took it off, Ken's was like, dude, I don't know if you should fly your drone. Like it's really windy. I was like, dude, I've flown this thing way windier areas. Like top of Payuma was what I was like thinking about. And so I was like, I'll be fine. I've been flying drones forever. I'm chilling. Pop the thing up within literally probably 1 to 2 minutes because I got like some shots. The camera just like started bugging out. The drone, I just like I was like, I could see the drone. Trying to move it, it's not responding. And then the thing just goes, it's like kind of like hovering and then just like, now it kind of like turns when it, and I'm like, what do I do? I'm trying everything, like pushing all the buttons, whatever, it's not responding. Drone disappears, gone.
Yeah.
That's it. Footage is gone. I was mad bummed because I wanted to fly the drone like in other places in Korea, other places in Japan. I had only really like flown it once earlier when we were in Japan, like for like in like a residential area. It wasn't like that cool of footage. But like after Korea, we were going to Tokyo, and I was like, there'd be some great drone footage. I mean, not to mention in Korea as well. So didn't have a drone for the rest of the trip. Wasn't able to get a lot of drone footage, but I'm for sure like getting a new drone soon, you know.
So that drone is hanging out somewhere on Mount Bukhansan.
If you find it, pop the memory card out and you can email the footage to mike@templemillproductions.com.
So that's your answer, Quan.
Okay, what's our time looking at right now?
We got a few minutes and then I'm gonna restart the camera. So
Should we keep answering more questions
yeah.
or? Okay.
We're gonna keep it rolling. We're not cutting anything
Yeah.
out of this.
Well, yeah. Okay, so for all of you guys, we want this podcast to be like an emphasis on authenticity, real, like no BS. It's gonna be hard to get comfortable on camera for the first couple episodes. We want them to be as conversational as possible. This one, we're kind of talking with you guys more so that you can get a feel for how it's gonna be, like more explanatory.
But in the future, this is kind of like the introductory episode, but in the future, we're probably not going to be looking at the camera that much. It's kind of because we're going to have other guests here that we're going to be talking with. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. We got.
Keep talking. I'm going to restart.
Okay. All right, so Badger coming through with the question. He says, favorite part of filming process? I mean, for me, it totally changes because like sometimes I'll go through like these creative editing modes where I lock myself in my room for, 3 days straight, turn the lights off, glue my eyeballs to my monitor, and I just go ham editing. And like I get a ton of like that's such a creative outlet for me because like the sky's the limit. Yeah. When you're editing, it's like blank canvas. You can do whatever you want to do. However, filming, you're like in it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like when I look at a photo that I took at the top of Bukhansan from my camera, I think about behind the camera, like I was in that environment to take that photo, And so like when I see like that's why I love those like foot photos that I do, because every time I like look at that photo, it literally is the same view that I see when I look down sitting off the edge of like a cliff. Yeah. And so, I don't know, like being in the moment, it's hard. So I bounce between the two, and there's pros and cons to both, because sometimes I don't like to edit. Sometimes I'm like, dude, I don't want to edit this. Yeah. Like, this is not going to be fun. This is just like cutting things together. Yeah. Other times, it's totally different. So
I don't like editing when there's like the more organized and like systematic you are in the shooting process, makes it way easier in the editing process as well. Like the way that we used to make videos was kind of just like shoot everything, and then like, I mean, for me personally, it was like shoot everything, like especially when we were with Gerard, it was like documenting everything that's going on, and then having like in 30 minutes of clips in the timeline, and then like going through and trying to make something out of it. But like, I don't think I'd be able to do that anymore. Like, it's so stressful to do that. Like, every time I complete one of those things, I'm like, how did I do that? Like, that was just like a miracle. And I don't think I can do it again, but I somehow managed to again, but it's so stressful. Yeah. It's way easier to shoot like with intention. And that's why I sometimes like shooting, because that's like when you make it all. It's like the same analogy as like your diet starts in the grocery store. Like, you're gonna have a bad diet if you keep buying a ton of cookies and stuff. Yeah. And so like you make it easier on yourself on the diet section if you go easy and more disciplined in the grocery store. And so if you're shooting very intentionally, then it makes your life so much easier on the editing side. Yeah. That said, there's like pros and cons to both too. Like, but yeah.
Great snippet right there. Cut this where Truman starts the grocery store analogy. Okay, so let's go into the second question. What inspires your day-to-day drive? For another one from Badger. I mean, for me,
Badger, like New York Badger?
Yeah,
okay.
Like Pat.
Yeah, okay.
So honestly, what inspires my day-to-day drive is waking up and knowing that how much money I make today is like I'm 100% responsible for. Yeah. If I make no money today, that's my fault. If I make $10,000 today, that's my fault. And so that inspires. Also, just like doing what I love and like knowing that when I wake up tomorrow, I'm gonna dive into, like growing our business, doing things like that I love to do is like the best feeling ever. Like I'm so glad that I don't have to bust tables anymore. I don't have to shoot weddings anymore. I don't have to do any of the BS that I don't want to do. You know, I can like, hey, we should go in the mountains and record the podcast today. All right.
Yeah. I think that's important because a lot of people will try to motivate themselves by looking at like where they want to be, but humans, I don't know where I learned this from, but like humans learn from pleasure, like gaining pleasure, but they also learn more by avoiding pain. And so what you said of like you don't want to bust tables, like that's exactly how I am. Like I used to do manual labor all day long, like 8 a.m. to like 3-4 in the hot summer sun, and like that is just not how I am built anymore. Or like I don't want to do that anymore. Like and frankly, I didn't really want to do it at the time either. Like I wanted to make videos. And so what drives me is just like the ability to not have to do that kind of lifestyle anymore. Like that 9-to-5 life where you're just clocking in and you're dreading every single moment of it. I love that like it's a Friday and we're sitting here in the woods creating a podcast. Like that's what we want to do. And like no one's telling us that we can't do it. Like we're 100% in charge of what we're doing in our schedule and everything. And it's just like so motivating. And like, I just want to keep working hard every day so that I can make sure that that's always going to be the case.
Totally. Great answer. All right. We got a lot of questions, so let's keep it going. Okay, this question we got from Muffin Man 7.
Shout out Muffin Man.
Muffin Man. All right. So for real, Christian.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
Do I know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man.
The one that lives on Cherry Lane?
Is it Cherry Lane?
I don't remember what lane it is. I already better stay in his lane. All right, Muffin Man. So he said, where do you think you'd be without Gerard? Okay, I mean, this is a great question. For those of you that don't know, I'm not gonna dive into the whole story. I keep saying that like with the drone thing, but I did dive into the whole story. I'm just gonna like really brief it, the spark notes. When I moved out to New York, so when I was 17, I met this guy named Gerard Adams, the co-founder of this big media company called Elite Daily. And he sold that company in 2015 to the Daily Mail for $50 million. And so I met him like pretty recently after he made that sale. And his move from there was to, one, make change with the community with Founders, which was like a social impact accelerator for inner city youth in Newark, New Jersey. And he also wanted to build his personal brand and interview different leaders, which he started the series Leaders Create Leaders with Digital Jeff, which Truman and my first LCL shoot was the season finale of season 1. And then Truman and I filmed season 2, season 3. And then after season 3 was when we kind of like parted ways and started our own media company. We still have like a great relationship with Gerard. He's like a mentor. Like I look at Gerard as like a big brother because like he really took me under his wing and like showed me the ropes at such a young age. And like, especially like going through like some like difficult trials out in New York, like him being there and like being able to like teach was like invaluable for me. So, however, where would I be without him? I think part of why I left like an impression on Gerard when I first met him was because, and this is just totally my opinion, I haven't talked to him about this, but is because like before going out to New York, part of why I went to New York in the first place was because I had like come to the conclusion that I wanted to spend the rest of my life doing what I love to do. I didn't care about making any money or like all I wanted to do was like take photos. That's it. And so I graduated, bought a plane ticket, went out to New York, and I think because like I was in that mindset, Gerard was able to show me like, dude, you can do this and make money. you don't have to be a broke photographer. Like, you have this amazing talent, and like it's invaluable to people. And so like, you know, before meeting Gerard, I was charging 50 to 60 bucks a photo shoot. And that was after me thinking like I'm a pretty established photographer. I had like met influence and like I'd been like starting my own personal brands, but that was still where I valued myself. And so going out to New York, Gerard really helped me see my value. So to answer your question, what would I do without Gerard? Like right now, I would still be making photos and videos. You know, I wouldn't know Truman because we met through Gerard.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be charging what we charge. Like we for sure wouldn't have a business around this. I would probably have like Richy photography, a YouTube channel, whatever, but it wouldn't be done as properly or like as well as we've been doing it. So like, I don't know. I think that answers the question. Do you want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly pretty crazy and scary to think where we would be without him. It was both, we obviously worked so hard out there. Like nothing was given to us. He gave us an opportunity and we
Pounced on it.
Yeah, we killed it. Like we crushed it. However, if he didn't give us that opportunity, like it's wild to think where I would be, because I would probably still be in college, still pursuing something that I wasn't that happy about. Because for me, it was like I wanted to do videography as a professional career for a while. Like, you know, it's been part of my life since I was in middle school, but I never knew that it could be a possibility. I thought it was just always going to be a hobby. I thought I was only like, you know, I thought the only option was to go the traditional route and go to film school and like be a assistant on a shoot like out in LA or something. Yeah. Like I was like literally thinking about like, wow, maybe I should like hit up some of my like buddies that went to film school and like try to do an internship for their company or something, like try to get my foot in the door somehow. But so my connection with Gerard came from Brian Donovan. Shout out Brian Donovan. He is like a saint in my eyes. Brian's a power player. He pulled me out. You know, he pulled me out of where I was because he knew Gerard, and like 6 months before Brian started working with Gerard, I met Brian at a Ty Lopez event actually in New York. We met in the lobby and we're just like boys from that day. Yeah. But I never knew, like I just saw him as like this cool guy that I met at a Ty Lopez event. You know, I went back to Pennsylvania and I was like, he's the type of dude that I'll hit up if I ever go back to New York. I'll hit him up. You know, I had no plans of going back there, and but Brian reached out to me and was like, hey, I'm working with this guy Gerard Adams. I showed him your videos. I know that you want to pursue like videography as a career. We got this opportunity. It's yours if you want to like do it, but you gotta like leave everything. Yeah. And that was like it was a big decision, but it wasn't a difficult one because it was like my ticket to out. Like it was like, this is my shot. Like I'm willing to just dump all this college stuff to do what I want. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll just go back to it. And so without Gerard, I wouldn't have had that ticket out and I would have had to find somewhere else. Yeah. And so for me, Gerard was that whole experience, like me, like being part of the founders team, everyone there was such an awareness shift for me. Like it just expanded my awareness of like what's possible. Like 100%. Before founders, before Gerard, before meeting you, Brian Rigaud and Brian Donovan, like everyone there, it was like I felt so alone with like I want to do all these like amazing things in the future, but my peers back home were kind of just like caught up in going out drinking like on the weekends and all this stuff. They didn't have like any clear goals. They weren't ambitious. Like and when I got to founders and started meeting all these people, it was like these people are like me. And up until that point, founders was the only place that I felt like I had other people to connect with. And
the relationships and founders.
Yeah, like some of those people I'm gonna like be friends with for the rest of my life. Like you, Brian Donovan, Ragone, Tatted Mike, Jeff. Like, man, can't forget about Jeff at all. Like, he's a huge mentor. Like, he was the one that like initially taught me how to shoot manual. I still have the photo of all that stuff, and then you helped out as well. Like, when I first went to Gerard, I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. I just knew video. But like, looping back to the question, it's like so much of my personal growth came from Gerard, like the opportunity.
And I think that shows like the power of finding a good mentor and like what mentors can do for you. Because like being in a little Utah bubble, I didn't really know people, you know? And so like once we started working with Gerard, he immediately put us onto his network. It was immediately like a stamp of credibility, like, oh, these are Gerard's boys? Like, of course I'm gonna work with them.
You went from like being in the Utah bubble, listening to like Tyler, the Creator, and A$AP Rocky, to being in New York, literally like
working with
like
Rocky
shooting
and,
with him. Like that's such a crazy like lifestyle change. Like, but,
I mean, it was like culture shock because like I really like these are the dudes that I idolized. A lot of these musicians and stuff like that. And when I first met Gerard, that same day I also met his jeweler, who's the owner of this jewelry company called Roman Tail. His name is Prince. And Prince was hosting these events for Fashion Week in New York. And, you know, we followed each other on Instagram. And then after he like saw the work I was posting, he was like, dude, do you want to like cover these events for me? Like come and shoot these? And I was like, of course. Go there. First night, I meet A$AP Ferg, A$AP 12, A$AP Lou, the whole A$AP mob, except for like Rocky and a couple of other guys. And then it was just like the same, every single event, all these people were there. Like Ray Schremer was there, A$AP Rocky, like, so it definitely was like, and like having those experiences like definitely boosted my confidence in myself, like my abilities. I'm like, oh, now I have like validation from dudes that I look up to, you know what I'm saying? And I think having confidence is also what helped push me to like try new things, be more bold, you know, be more courageous, because I was more confident in myself. I was like, okay, like I just shot Rocky. What can I not do right now? Nothing.
I think, Gerard just really, he's like a ready, fire, aim type individual where he just is like, go, go, go. And like, if you don't know how to do it, figure it out on the way. And I love that mentality. And I think that's something that we still carry with us in Templemill. It's like, if like someone comes to us and is like, can you do this? The answer for us is always, like, of course, like we'll figure it out. If we don't know how, like if we don't know how to do it right now, we'll figure it out so much that like we'll crush it for you. And like, you know, like,
and like that, the first LCL shoot that I did not know what I was doing with video. I thought that Gerard hired me as a photographer, you know? And so, you know, we go to the river, which is where Belleville meets Newark, an area where Gerard growing up, you know, had a bunch of memories with like, you know, overcoming his past of like slinging drugs and stuff like that. And so we filmed the season finale of season 1, and I mean, I had no idea that's what we were even doing. I thought we were just taking photos, and he was like, yo, record this. Next thing I know, new day, new goals, it's your boy G, and today we're back with the season finale of season 1 of Leaders Create Leaders. I'm behind the camera like this. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea what we're even doing. Yeah. But we filmed the whole episode, like, and you know, Digital Jeff was like there to help with like, he wasn't there on that first shoot, and Jeff was always this mysterious figure in my head who like I'd heard about, and everyone had told me about how amazing Jeff was. And then one day, literally the first sight of Digital Jeff, he rolls up to the front door of Founders on a boosted board. He's wearing some like orange Adidas Ultra Boost. He's got on like a leather jacket, sunglasses, walks in the door, pops up his boosted board. I'm like, holy crap. This dude is like, Casey Neistat just rolled in, you know what I'm saying? So, Yeah, I mean, if I would have just been like, Gerard, I cannot do this. I'm a photographer, we're not doing this right now, I'd been out.
Yeah.
There's no way. But, you know, instead, we filmed like individual projects to learn. I was editing on iMovie until eventually, you know, we downloaded, you were on Premiere. I think before Premiere you used Sony Vegas.
Yeah.
How long did you, I think you pretty much taught me everything in Premiere.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, like I switched over to Premiere when I saw, like a few months before Brian hit me up, Gary V put out a thing where he was hiring editors, and he was like, one of the requirements was that you needed to know Adobe Premiere Pro. And I was like, wow, I don't know that.
Yeah.
And if I want to make this my career, eventually I'm gonna have to learn this. So I switched over.
Yeah.
And like if that's the industry standard right there, I better know it.
Yeah.
So that when that opportunity comes, I'm ready for it.
And Premiere makes the most sense just because of how it integrates with After Effects, Lightroom, Photoshop, all like the whole Adobe suite packaged together is like so great.
Yeah.
I haven't used Final Cut very much. I know we edit on Macs and Final Cut tends to be more native, but I don't know, maybe we'll mess around with it, but okay.
That was a good answer.
That was a great question, Christian.
Yeah.
4 a.m. Basement. Check out his art.
Check out his work.
Okay, we got, what's our time looking like right now?
Like 4 minutes until I'm gonna switch cameras up again.
Should we?
We're at probably 40 minutes right now.
All right, I think we'll just do like, you know, 1 or 2 more questions.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up. And we'll go through these questions quick because I want to hit what, like, most of your guys' questions.
Yeah.
So, Dixon Mortimer, my homie, my dog, said, who has the best album cover design?
Man,
It's a really good question.
I'm trying to think of like.
All right, I mean, I'm biased to, I would say Tyler, the Creator, because
Flower Boy?
was this which artist has the best album covers or which specific album cover is the best album cover?
Yeah, I don't know.
If I were to say, oh man, I mean, okay, look, I used to really like Logic, and then he started selling out, and I was not about it. He even moved next door to where we used to live.
Yeah.
Shout out Bobby. But I give Logic props on his album covers.
Yeah.
Because he gets art, like, I don't know who exactly does it, but him and Tyler both have like amazing artists do really original and great album work.
Yeah.
Like I remember back when Tyler dropped like the Wolf album, there's this one cover of him like sitting on a bike with like a striped tee and his golf hat on. He has kind of like a big head and is like out in nature or whatever. And it was such a cool album cover. Same with like Flower Boy was painted by an artist, and like that cover where you can see the McLaren in the background, and like, so that's what I would say. Truman, you got any off the top of your head?
I would say.
Without looking at my playlist.
I know, I'm looking at it right now. I really like Bon Iver's album covers. Like, I feel like they're pretty cool. I really can't think of any other ones that are.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some
out there for
that are,
sure
like,
that
are really obvious and I'm not thinking of.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Great question, Dixon. Okay, so the last question. I wish we had more time to hit everyone's questions, but we'll be doing more of these and we'll be able to, you know, have more time, but we're kind of getting to a time limit here.
Yeah.
So last question, it's from @AmonCooner, and he says, I'm a videographer and a photographer. Do you think my work is good enough? Thank you. So I think what he wanted was, you know, for me to look at his work and like give him some sort of answer of if he's good enough to accept projects or start charging money or whatever. And, you know, my answer to that is if you ever are like, if in your head you have the mindset of I'm good enough, that is like the moment when you stop growing, you stop progressing, and you stop getting better. And 9 times out of 10, if you're one of those people that thinks that you're good enough, like, there's so many things that you can improve on. Like, there's so many people that come to my head that, like, I look at their work and it hasn't changed at all for the last 1 to 2 years.
And those are usually the people that say, like, I'm so good, like, I'm the best videographer ever, like my work is amazing. Like,
it's like
you can know that your work is amazing, but know that you have to progress. Like, there's always things to get better at. Like,
yeah. You can be confident in yourself
Yeah.
and be talented, but that doesn't mean that you're the best.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, like, for myself, personally, I'm nowhere near where I think my best is.
Yeah.
You know, my best is like, I've got my own shoe with Converse. I'm making millions of views on the interwebs. We're making millions of dollars with our video production, and we're working with the best of the best. And even then, there's still things to get better at. And like, that's one of the things that has always, like, I've always loved about photo and video, is because of how many changing elements there are with the environment, the model, the lighting, the camera settings, the editing, the exposure, the contrast, the sharpness, the saturation. There's unlimited possibilities, and there's always room to improve. You know, what people think is good is relative. Style is always changing. What I'm wearing right now would not have slid, you know, in the 1920s. What someone was wearing, but just in the 1920s, like, they would have looked at me and said, "What the heck are you wearing?"
So I think some good advice would be to always be progressing and always be adaptable to the changes of, like, situations going, like, the state of the creative space. Like, if I was only shooting on film and I never was, like, upgraded to Sony's or things like that, there's only so much that I'm gonna, like, progress. You know,
totally.
like, you can, like, allow the new technology and allow the new ways of doing things to, like, provoke you to learn more and get better.
Yeah, and like, don't be afraid to accept criticism. Like, I know, like, for me, that was something I was really bad at first, because like, I am a little bit of a hothead. I'm working on it, but you know, when someone like would criticize my photos right in front of me, I would immediately take it personally, which is a bad thing to do.
But
you know,
it's common, because
it's
like,
common.
you took that photo, like, that's your art. You know?
Yeah.
If someone's saying that your art is not good, then
And there's definitely, like, you gotta be careful of whose advice you take, because like, for me, if someone who is working a 9 to 5 and, you know, lives in the suburbs, never picked up a camera, they come to me and they're giving me advice on photos, I'm not gonna take that advice, because one, I'm gonna take the advice of people that I wanna be like. I don't wanna be like that, you know? And so, accept criticism, be skeptical of it, but don't deny it, you know? Odds are people say things for a reason. They're not just lying to make you feel bad about yourself, you know? They genuinely are like, it's weird that your horizons aren't straight in the photograph. Can you straighten that? It's weird that this photo is so undersaturated that the skin tones look off. That doesn't look healthy and it looks weird. That's criticism that you should accept, and it will turn you into a better creator.
Yeah, and just, like, see it, don't even see it as criticism, see it as feedback. And you can take it as negative, positive, nothing, like neutral. You can just take, like, all it is feedback, and the way that you respond to it is your, like, it's like they're choosing to get offended by it.
Yeah.
And so you can take that feedback and turn it into something positive and grow from it.
Totally.
And another thing is, like you said, is my work good enough? And, like, just be careful that you're not, like, getting your validation from us. Like, if we would say, yeah, you're good enough, then, like, you may, like, your confidence may shoot up. But if we say, no, you're not, then, like, you don't want to put your, like, what you think of yourself in the hands of us. You want to, like, like see yourself as the best, but know that you have to constantly improve and like just get out there and start shooting and make it happen. Like,
and if you don't know your worth, like start with a $10 photo shoot, see who will do it, book a couple of those. All right, now try $20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Keep setting the bar, 100, 500, 1,000, until eventually, you know, you're at the point where you're a professional creative. This goes for, you know, graphic designers. You're designing logos. Start cheap, find out where your price point is. You're a photographer, you're a videographer, you're a musician, whatever. So I think that's a great point to wrap this video up on. I liked what you said about offense being a choice. Firm believer of that. Like, if you're getting offended over something, like, you're letting somebody else have power in your life because you're taking something that they said and having it stick with you. And so, you know, you can choose to get offended and you can choose to move on from it. And so, you know, you always can go farther with thicker skin. I can't remember, there's a quote, I can't remember what the quote is, but the thicker your skin is, the farther I forget.
like, so yeah, I think it's a choice that you get offended. That being said, like, there's still days where if I'm feeling down and someone says something, I'll take it as like an offense, but that's because I'm down. Like, if my confidence is up that day and I'm comfortable with myself and I have that thick skin, then it's like water off a rock.
Brush
like
it off.
Yeah, so you have to first be comfortable with yourself and like know that,
Know
like,
thyself.
yeah, know thyself. And like, I know that I'm not the best that I'm ever gonna be. Like, I'm always growing, I'm always expanding, but I know that right now I'm chilling. Like, I'm okay with myself. And so that's like all it takes for you to be comfortable with yourself, to like not take criticism so harshly, you know? Like, if you're cool with yourself, then that, like, what other opinions do you need?
Totally. Money. This is why I like Truman. All right, guys, so thank you for listening this far. If you're still here, we're really excited to start, you know, posting more of these, getting our friends on here so you guys can get to know them. You know, we'll let you know beforehand who the guest is so that you can prepare questions, and then we'll ask them your questions. So, you know, one episode I'm really excited for is we're gonna have my buddy Quinn on here. His Instagram is @wave and @bestcelebrations. He is a Instagram genius. He is a amazing photographer, like one of my favorite, you know? And so really excited for you guys to get to know him. Think of some questions that have to do with, you know, organizing your Instagram, growing a following, you know, photos, whatever, and we'll see you guys in the next one. That's not gonna be the next episode, down the line a little bit, but, you know, we're excited to be able to bring these people. So thanks for watching, and we will catch you guys next time.
Catch you on the flip.